Let's hear it for our band. Jason Soda on drums, Mark Baum on sax and bass, guitar, and Michael Grossman on piano. Welcome to Unity San Francisco. Look at these hardy souls. Yay! We are in the midst of life. Right? We're in the midst of decisions that affect all of us. We're in the midst of personal choice. And this is the moment we need our Unity teachings more than ever. So if you're joining us on Livestream, welcome. If you're here in the room, welcome. We're so delighted to see you and so delighted you're with us here today. Because this is a perfect storm in a lot of ways, our prayer chaplains, all 25 of them, are away on a retreat this morning praying. Just spending the whole weekend in prayer. And they're holding us in the prayer consciousness, in the prayer field right now as we hold them. And so with many of our members taking care of themselves by watching on Livestream today, we're the mighty few here right now. So I invite us to settle into that, to know that truth, that no matter where we are or in what numbers we're gathered, God is. Life is. Love is. And that the outside circumstance can affect the peace of our soul. Right? Amen to that, right? Let's say it again. The outside circumstance can never affect the peace of our soul. Thanks. So let's anchor that with our opening chant and our opening prayer. I am light. Misa Malone and our band. Light. All light. As we breathe into this moment, into this space, we open our hearts and minds to the truth of this moment, to the truth of our being. We let the chair hold us, the floor support us, the room enfold us, the love wash over us. Here, right now, there is nothing to fear. There is nothing wrong. All is well. Can you feel that? Can you know that wherever you are and whenever you're watching this, all is well. All is well. We live into this in the silence. Together. As we move and breathe in this moment, in this day, in this situation, in and on this planet, we know the truth that we have the power within to shift and change every situation. We know that from within us comes the unquenchable thirst for life itself, the infinite supply of divine wisdom, guidance, love, and abundance. And from this place of oneness, of wholeness, and of peace, we live and move and have our being. For this time together and for the expression of our being on this planet, we are truly grateful. And together we all say, Amen. And so it is.
Good morning, beloveds. Delight that we all are, having chosen to take human form. And we are this limitless potential here in space and time in the year 2020, currently at Page Street. If you're watching online, Good morning, beloved, to you as well. We are each this divine expression. So we are so glad that you're here. Welcome to Unity San Francisco. One of the things that we do is we practice. We set up ideas such as I am light, and then I practice that idea when I need it. We also have ideas like Unity teaches 5 basic principles that are on the screen. On months that have 5 Sundays, we choose to look at one each Sunday. So these ideas, I then, when I'm in a struggle, can use these ideas to bring myself back to the truth. So the first Unity principle is there is only one. There is not the other. So when I find myself in difficulty with a coworker, if I practice, if I remember, I take myself back to, wait a minute, there's only one. My coworker and me, or the person on the freeway and me, are not separate, but we are one. So I use the principle to bring myself back. The second principle that we're looking at this week is we are all divine. I am the divine. So when I lose track of that, I can bring it back. When I lose track of it with someone at work, when I practice, wait a minute, we are all the divine, each of us. And can that help me come back to my own centered knowing and let go of whatever perceived struggle might be there? So there is only one, and we are all that divinity. No exceptions, no one is left out. So thank you for knowing that with me. We also know the rest of this month, thoughts become things, and through prayer I can align myself with the divine, and then through actions I live what I know. There's many ways to pray, and Ken has another new way to pray that we're going to talk about.
Well, yeah, but before we do that, blessings.
Thank you.
There's your hands. So we're living in this time now where they've taught us in again, everything we needed to know we learned in kindergarten, but they're teaching it to us again, that to wash our hands, we should be washing our hands for 20 seconds, right? And I was watching a news report the other day where they suggested that we sing the happy birthday song twice as you wash your hands to figure out what 20 seconds is of washing your hands. And in my life, I've known that affirmations and affirmative prayer have been the biggest transformer in my life, right? And when I do road activities, and I teach it in the Absolute Abundance course, to do an affirmation as you're doing road activities so that you're changing your consciousness. You're creating a new groove in your mind. And so when we were at the prayer retreat yesterday, we were talking about this, going, we shouldn't be singing happy birthday. We should be saying an affirmative prayer. We should be affirming our health. We should be doing something like that. And Misa said, no, we should be singing. And she came up with a song. So we're going to teach you how to wash your hands.
Right.
So Misa, you ready? The hand washing song. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay.
I am hale, I am healthy, I am whole. I am hale, I am healthy, I am whole. I am hale, I am healthy, I am hearty, I am wealthy. I am hale, I am healthy, I am whole.
Everybody stand up. Here we go.
I am hale, I am healthy, I am whole. I am hale, I am healthy, I am whole. I am hale, I am healthy, I am hearty, I am wealthy. I am hale, I am healthy, I am whole. One more time. I am hale, I am healthy, I am whole. Get under your nails. I am hale, I am healthy, I am whole. Between your fingers. I am hale, I am healthy, I am hearty, I am wealthy. I am hale, I am healthy, I am whole.
Give yourselves a hand. Yeah, that's 20 seconds of pure delight. And if you can get that earworm out of your head today, I'm proud of you. We're turning it into a meme.
Yes. A new way to pray, a new way to practice, right? That we are the divinity, practicing through our intentions, through what we say, what we believe. Now, I just want to mention, too, turning our attention to the bulletin, the Sunday bulletin, that inside is a spiritual connection card. And so I invite you to tear this out and just take a moment to fill out one side, let us know your name and your contact information, how you heard about us. And thank you for letting us know this information. We're going to be using this connection card a little bit later in the service, and then we'll be putting it into the offering basket along after the talk. If you are viewing online, there is also a button for you that is the spiritual connection card button. So if you're viewing on Livestream, a separate window will pop up so your video is uninterrupted. Thank you for viewing. And if you are viewing in the future, that same love, that same connection still applies at any date that you are viewing our live stream. So we're just so glad that you are here practicing with us, whether in this building or from your home. Also, if you are here for the first time, we want to say welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And we have a very special gift for you, either upstairs in this foyer or downstairs in the community hall. Let myself or Ken or any of the staff know that you are here for the first time, and we have gifts for you. So thank you for being here. Now, another way we practice is lifting our voice in song. So as you are willing and able, please stand as we sing with Misa Malone.
So before Misa starts this too, as I wrote to everyone this week, if you got the email that I sent out yesterday, there is a lot of concern in the community, in the world right now, about hugging and touching and all of that. And our meet and greet is usually a hug fest, which some people love and some people not so much. You know, it's a mixed bag for everyone. But we were thinking about it yesterday too, trying to figure out a way to continue our meet and greet and honoring people's preferences. And if you've seen all the memes and everything going around, a lot of people are tapping feet, tapping elbows, doing jazz hands. And all of that for me was an indication of separateness. And I wanted something that brought us together. So one of the prayer chaplains is a nurse, and she does a lot with alternative therapies. One of the things that she suggested yesterday was that in her learning and her teaching, they talk about hugs, about self-hugs that we can give each other, and activating our body and our touch reflexes by doing. And so we thought that if we could have our meet and greet while hugging ourselves in eye contact with another being here, right? And seeing the wholeness and the truth beyond the illusion of separation to the other person, that it would be a real connection, not a tap, but a moment of love between two divine spiritual beings. And so Tyler and I are going to demonstrate it, and it'll be part of our song. And we're going to raise the veil. Between me and my God, no separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. to rise if you're willing and able, and to hug ourselves, and to greet each other with
A gesture of love.
a gesture of love. I'm raising the veil.
I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. Not yet. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. God is right here in my heart.
Right where I stand is my
God is right here in my heart.
Right where I am is my
God is right here in my heart.
Separation
I'm raising the veil.
raising the veil.
God is right here in my heart.
Right here in my
God is right here in my
Right
heart.
where I am is my
God is right here in my
No
heart.
separation at
I'm
all.
raising the veil.
Raising the veil.
Raising the veil. Raising the veil.
Thank you, Misa. Thank you, band. And now back to Tyler. Thank you.
So one of the joys of spiritual community is coming together to practice, but also one of the joys is creating programs, events, classes, celebrations, times for us to practice together. So one of the fabulous things coming up this Saturday is Misa Malone is teaching again the Sounds of Unity workshop. Now it's not only for the members who want to become part of the Sounds of Unity choir, but it's for anyone who wants to expand their knowledge of how to use the vocal instrument, whether you are a singer or a public speaker. If you would like to practice learning how to utilize the breath, and also learning how to be understood and use diction. Misa calls it chewing on each word, so that people can understand. So come to the workshop. It's going to be this Saturday from 10 to 3 right here. You can sign up downstairs in the community hall, and when you come on Saturday, bring a little box lunch. Please join us. It is a requirement for anyone who wants to join the Sounds of Unity choir. We also have plans for those programs, including Easter, including Gay Pride. There is a calendar unfolding for us to practice with, to be the divine. So come to the workshop. Another way to practice is Dave Cooperberg, our LUT licensed Unity teacher, is going to be teaching one of his favorite workshops on dream life. What is the dreams that is happening in your nighttime, and how to begin to pay attention to them, how to connect them to maybe that's my heart desire speaking and turning it into that metaphysical prayer. So first listening to the dream, and he has techniques such as going to sleep and telling myself, I'm going to remember my dreams today, the next morning. Having a note by the bed, a little pad and pencil, so that when you wake up, you might jot it down. These are ways to then begin to bring attention to the dream style, the dream life, and see if you can integrate it. So come to Dave's workshop. It's going to be on Sunday, March 22nd from 1 to 3. You can sign up downstairs in the community hall. And then also exciting is that we have a Reiki teacher coming to teach here, Eleonora Corey. And she's been teaching since 2005. Reiki, many of us know, is a way of exchanging loving, healing energy. And in this class, levels 1 and 2, learning how to do Reiki energy for oneself, and then when you choose to do it for someone else, for someone that you care about. So come to this workshop, and usually it is a much higher price for Reiki 1 and 2, 500 to upwards of that. But this Reiki training has been underwritten by Unity San Francisco so that the price has been reduced so that all of us can sign up. But there is a limited number of seats, so be sure to sign up downstairs or ask us for more information. It's down in the community hall. And then we also have a Lenten booklet that's published by Home Office. Ken's going to talk about the Lenten booklet.
We practice Lent a little differently in Unity, and I've had the honor and privilege of writing for this book now. I think this is my second year on this booklet, but I've been writing for booklets for about 5 years now, and they're a great little boost to our spiritual practice to start the day or end the day with a spiritual reading to reflection. And what we're doing for Lent is we're oscillating between fasting and feasting. Fasting and feasting. Letting go of what we want to let go of and bringing in more of what we want. So from this week, we're going to look at, on page 19, I Feast on Connection. And that's written by a friend of mine, Reverend Jean Marie Eck, who's at Unity of Houston. And we were both at Unity of New York together. And she followed me and actually lived in the same dorm room that I lived at Unity Village, and now she serves Unity of Houston. And I'm going to read to you. You're going to read. So Tyler's going to read this to us, and you can read along with us if you'd like.
Today's Lenten spiritual practice is connection. Our affirmation for today is, I feast on connection. As I love and approve of myself, I am able to see that I have unlimited possibilities for connection in my life. I reach out to others with the generosity of spirit, experiencing greater harmony, greater peace and understanding in all of my relationships. Now, rather than waiting for an invitation, I take the initiative to call a friend that I have been missing, and I make plans to enjoy a meal together. Or I may venture out to a new class or to a community event where I can relate to others who enjoy similar shared interests. Or I may seek the counsel of a trusted therapist to hear my history and support me in grieving my losses and in releasing any repressed emotions. Now, as I feast on my connection with others, I remember that we are all one and that each person is an expression of God. In spiritual community together, we prayerfully commune with the love of God, and I can feel my connection with all of life. I thrive in a loving universe that provides for my every need, including my need for unity with others. And as I walk in the consciousness of oneness, I feast on connection, and I am at peace with it all. So our affirmation for today is, I feast on connection. Please know that with me. I feast on connection. And so it is.
You're welcome to take this home with you and use it all through the season. I need the clicker, if we have it somewhere. And hi, everybody. I thought I'd do this different today. Because it just feels different today. And I wanted to have a conversation rather than a talk. In the midst of disease, death, fear, contraction, turmoil, stock markets, people, relationships, work, schools, where we turn, right? And Unity always talks about metaphysics, Unity metaphysics. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the term or don't understand specifically what we mean about it, metaphysics generally means beyond the physical. So we're here in a physical body. We're here in a physical building, a room. We're sitting in chairs. We're wearing physical clothes. We're having real physical experiences. And beyond that is something that we call the metaphysical, or the absolute, the divine, truth itself, life itself. And there's often a lot of confusion about the word God and what it means in unity. Right? We know what it means in traditional religions, in traditional Christianity and Judaism. God is often described as a man with a long white beard and lives up in heaven. Right? And that is the God that many of us walked away from. Right? And said, oh, I don't believe that, and before we found unity. But that is a childlike understanding of God. It's how we use to explain it to children. I work really hard on how to explain it to my children now, and without invoking that judgmental God in the sky, the Santa Claus God, even, right? You got to better watch out. And he rides in on a sleigh to leave you a lump of coal. So, God. Any other name? Could it mean anything else? When it came into unity, one of the best descriptions I ever heard of God is, it is the substance that underlies all manifestation. The actual energy of life itself. And it is the God's substance that creates everything we interact with in the physical world. Right? And the other one was that God is divine ideas. God is the realm of divine ideas. So there's this idea of chair. We're sitting on one version of the idea of chair. And I'm sitting on another. Right? Michael's sitting on a completely other idea of chair. And they all are physical representations of the divine idea, maybe of support, of comfort, of help. You know? And that's the realm of the divine, the realm of God. And because I love music, so moved by music, I find it the most inspiring of everything we do in our spiritual services. Early on in my time in Unity, I heard this song that I've asked Ruby to sing for us. And it describes, very specifically, one version of what we mean when we say God.
There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's one power. One power. It's one power.
Ruby Day. One power. Our first principle, right? There's only one power and one presence active in the universe and in our lives, God. Do we ever need that right now? Right? There is only one power and one presence active in the universe and in our lives. God, Spirit, Buddha, Hashem, universe. That one power and one presence has no opposite. Now, I know I was taught, and I imagine some of you were taught about the opposite force that we call the devil. And when I realized that there was no devil stalking the earth looking for my soul, right? That, it happens in movies and plays and in cartoons and Dante's Inferno. That there wasn't a physical being opposite of the divine power of God out there. But that the only place that existed was in my thinking. I was like, oh, that's amazing and scary. Because that's the worst place it could be. Right? Stuck between my ears is the thought of enmity, is the thought that something or someone is against me. And sometimes I make it you. And sometimes I make it you. And sometimes I make it this fictitious other out there. The politician that I don't agree with. The rule I don't like. The institution that hurt me. And they get to become the devil in my experience. The ex. Ooh. The parent that didn't do what I needed. Or I thought I needed. And then we live with the devil. Constantly, even though we say we don't like it and we don't want it. We set up house. Set up house with this force that we've created that's against us. And wonder why disease manifests on the planet. Why pain is so prevalent in our society. In this moment, we can stop and look at the expression of the universe. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And there was night and day. And there was stillness on the waters. And there was land and sea. And as we've talked about before, it doesn't mean that those things don't interact. The shore is where the land and the sea actually share their resources, share their wealth and their abundance. And it's the same with you and me. We are all here breathing the same air right now. We are sharing the same molecules. We're sharing the same vibrational energies as created by our minds and our hearts. We are all lifting each other or pulling each other down. And it is our choice in every moment to remember that there is only one power and one presence active in the universe and in our lives, God. And this is not something that I have just thought of, but when I stumbled into New Thought teachings and heard it, I could see again. And when I began to see again, I found out that there have been mystics for millennia saying the same thing. This isn't a new thought. We're not called a New Thought church because we've had a revolutionary new thought. It's about taking on a new thought in between our ears. That there's no one and nothing against us. But mystics, Catholic mystics like Meister Eckhart, and Catholic mystics for millennia have known this truth, down to Teilhard de Chardin, who wrote one of my favorite quotes on the planet: "We are spiritual beings having a human experience." Not human beings having a spiritual one. Right? The truth of who we are is a spiritual being in this body for right now. Emily Cady, over 100 years ago, wrote this: "Everything you can think of that is good, and when it's in the absolute perfection, goes to make up that invisible being we call God." So when we think of something that's good, love, life, hugs, light, in its absolute form, in the absolute realm, is what we think of as God. Now, in this human expression, as Tyler talked about in our second unity principle, we get to interact with divine ideas. We get to interact with divine mind. And because we have free will, we get to play in this physical world. And I don't know about you, but I really do believe that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And I want to have the human experience. I want to know what it is to touch and to reach someone I love. I want to know what it is to be held in my moments of sorrow. I want to know the pain of loving someone so much that I can't stand the thought of them not being here. I want the full range of my emotions, because I lived part of my life anesthetized from it all. And I won't go back there. It won't go back to numbing out the bad feelings, the so-called pain, so that I numb out the joy as well. I'm here for the full spectrum. And what's amazing about this quote is that it allows us to understand that age-old problem of how does God let bad things happen? Well, God is that ever-changing presence, spirit, the absolute truth. And we interact with it, and sometimes we make mistakes. Adam and Eve ate from the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The scripture does not say that they ate from good and evil, that they ate the fruit. It's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So in that moment, they started calling things good or bad. And in that moment, they were kicked out of paradise. It doesn't say anywhere in scriptures that they woke up, that they remembered the truth, and that we're all one, and that everything is here for us. There is nothing against us. So we keep making the devil. We keep making the devil and living it out in our lives. And we do it in a lot of ways. Deanne talked to us about last week. We think that physical reality is absolute truth. We think death is forever. We think pain is interminable. We think that success is meaningful. We think that failure is something to be avoided. But underlying all of that is the opposite truth. The truth, we call in unity a capital T truth, a truth that can't be changed. I am light. I am not the things I've ever done. Because if I were the things I've ever done, I would not be sitting here. No one would be listening to me. But there is a truth beyond what I've done. That's the real Ken, or whatever name he really is. That spirit that existed before this body, that will exist long after this body is gone. That spirit that knows that connection to all of us. That's the power, the one. And we often hear, God is love. And recently, I shared with you that Maya Angelou sat in these chairs, not these particular chairs, we've replaced them, thank God, since the 50s. But she sat in this community, and I shared the video of her talking to Oprah about this, that in this community, this Unity Church, Maya Angelou heard the words, God loves me. God loves me. And it forever changed her life. And I always love watching that video. It's on our website if you need to see it, because it's just, you can see how moved she is by that truth, that the personal realization of that divine love shifts her entire being. And at the same time, God doesn't love you. God is love. God is the very energy of love, and it is spread equally among everything without exception. Right? So there's a both in that. And we're going to talk about divine paradox. God is the very energy of love. God is love itself. God is perfect love, unsparing, unconditional, we might call it. In our humanness, we get to experience love. We get to give it and withhold it and see what happens when we withhold it. So I like to think about it this way. God's a verb. God is not a noun. Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad. God's not a man in the sky. God's not something that's static and unusable. That's a statue. That's a painting. That's unreachable. God is the activity of love in our lives. God is the very energy that we are. God is a verb. And so when we move and breathe and have our being as our divine expression, it shifts everything.
Where I am, God is. Where I stand, God is standing strong. Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me. As me, where I sing, God is. Where I dance, joy lifts my feet. Where I live, beauty's flowing free in and out and through me. As me, where I doubt, God is the faith in me. Where I cry, God is the comfort there. Where I seek, God is the answer here and now and forever and ever and ever. Where I speak, truth is. Oh, where I work, love
Miss Ruby Day. Thank you. Where you stand and move and breathe and sing and dance and work and love, God is always in the midst of every interaction, in every moment, in every opportunity. So love extravagantly. Be courageous and bring love to every situation. Bring your full divinity to those painful moments and have the conversations that you may never get to have again. Be God on earth, because you're the hands, the face, the voice, the comfort of the divine. And as Ricky Byers' song says, God needs us to shine its light, as me and as each and every one of you. Namaste.
Thank you to Ken and all of us for just remembering the truth. No matter what is going on, that truth is unchanging. It does not move. It is faithful to be the same tomorrow as it was last Wednesday. And it will be the same, always. So thank you for practicing with us this morning, and if on live stream also, thank you for being in this energy of love and of support. We do different things, such as raise our voice in song. We do different things like go to class. I do things like check and reflect on myself and where am I fighting with somebody in my life and try to come back to that centered place. But one of the things we do after we have a Sunday talk is we then look at this spiritual connection card on the other side. There is a couple ideas of what you might choose as a way to practice later this week, to maybe remember, to recall these ideas, or you can write your own. But here's some suggestions on your spiritual connection card that maybe this week you might choose to dive into fear and discover truth. I might choose to meditate on the meaning of God. Do I think it's a person or do I think it's a verb? I can choose this week to live courageously in every moment. And I can choose this week to love extravagantly. Also write your own, and also here you can write your own prayer request for Ken and Deanne, or a success thing that you are celebrating, and they will read your connection card, they will think of you and agree with all of these good things for you and more. Infinitely more. So it's a way for us to remain connected. And if you're watching us on live stream, whether it is today or in the future, click the button below when viewing through our unitysf.com live stream website, and then you can also participate in a connection card experience, and that goes directly to Ken and Deanne. As the offering basket goes around, you're going to put that this connection card in that offering basket. Another thing that we do is we practice the awareness of giving and receiving. You know, I came here to learn, and I came here to heal, and then I wanted to give back and to serve. And there's ways to volunteer, and there's ways to give of my talent, but there's also ways to give of my treasure through finances, through knowingly supporting a community that is a force of good in the world. So there is the offering basket, or the offering envelope. If you'd like to give of cash, please write your name legibly so that we can track your giving and give you that letter at the end of the year. If you want, you can use a cell phone to text to donate by sending. After you click the first time, you do a little bit of setting your account up, but then you can always easily click to donate. You can also do that at any time. If you're viewing on live stream, there's also a button to participate in giving and receiving so that you know that your love is going out into the world through this organization to be more good in the world. One of the ways we do giving and receiving is coming up. Another opportunity to give your love, to be the solution, is to, with our connection with Urban Angels SF, where they give clothing and or food to the homeless, we are going to be doing another creation of food packages to be given to the homeless. And so that is coming up, I believe, in a couple Sundays. Here it is, Sunday, March 29th. After service, we're going to be down in the community hall. We're going to be assembling sandwiches with love, putting them into the bag with a bottle of water, because water is needed, fresh water. And then, immediately after the assembly of these gifts, other members of us will then be going out to deliver those to people with love, so that we can practice being the solution we want to see in the world. Practice our love and our divinity. So join us for this as well. They're also asking for additional clothing donations because they have another clothing giveaway coming up in March. So if you're interested, sign up downstairs or ask us questions and be involved in the giving and receiving cycle of life. So that's another way. And so is this. And if you have already given electronically, there's an auto tithe card so that when the basket comes around, put in your spiritual connection card, put in your love offering, knowing that it is the cycle of giving and receiving and love. And also, to talk about giving and receiving, I wanted to invite up Susan Ives, who she is, one of our board members, to talk about why she gives here at Unity San Francisco. Susan.
Thank you, Tyler. So I've been a board member for a couple of years now. It's been a great pleasure. And the reason, I have an example of the reason I give my time, talent, and treasure to Unity San Francisco is that, I'll just tell you a little story. It changes big things, and it changes the little things to come and listen to Ken and Reverend Deanne speak on Sundays, and also through the week and through their work, administrative type of work at the church. But recently, actually on Leap Day, my sons and my daughter-in-law welcomed a new baby boy. Yay, yes, yeah. And so right before that happened, I had planned to go and visit them soon after the birth, and I've been really, first grandchild, first baby in our family for quite a while, very exciting, and I had planned to fly out there. My family's on the East Coast, and I was just getting, listening to the news, I was getting this feeling, but I was still like, okay, I'll wear a mask on the plane, I'll do this, I'll do that, and then one night I was just thinking, this is probably not going to happen because of what was in the news. And that next morning, I got a phone call from my son, making that difficult phone call I think he was dreading, to say, Mom, we'd rather you not visit because of the coronavirus scare. And the fact that that inspiration had come to me before I was ready, and I said, I totally understand what you're saying, but, and I didn't cry when I was on the phone with them, sorry. I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, and we'll FaceTime and do whatever, but I don't feel bad about it, just this is the right thing to do. And so we have been FaceTiming, and I also, think the universe, the spirit, the life force, for having FaceTimes, for having, our ability here to have our service go out to others, because, when you are at home, like I actually spent, not for being ill or anything, the last couple days not doing very much because I had to do some paperwork, and I'm like, you get so isolated. Very isolated when you're not going out and interacting, and the fact that people can, listen to this and participate, and that is a vision that we had when I first started with the board, and it came to fruition in a beautiful way. So now, this is why. It took time for us, and it took cash and to maintain it and to have this wonderful staff that do this. We really appreciate it, and I just want to say how thrilled I am. So thank you. Thank you.
Susan. We're delighted to have you. And Susan is one of our co-treasurers on the board, too. So she helps us keep all of that in line.
Right.
And there's an affirmation I'll let you lead us all in.
Yes, sure.
Okay? It'll be right there.
Okay.
Next one. Next slide. One more.
Okay. Well, I'll say this first and then repeat after me afterwards. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I joyously give and receive. And now together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I joyously give and receive.
And so it is.
All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everything near and far. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. For it all. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Grateful for it all. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Grateful for it all. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Grateful for it all.
Yay! Say hi, Joshua. Say hi. Say hi, Roma. Say hi. Oh, okay, you're going to be shy. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
What did you guys do today?
So we talked about three major ways that God is present in our lives. We talked about intuition that we receive. We talked about guiding hands. And we talked about love. And we used Disney movies to categorize each of the three different things. You can tell we love Disney. We use Disney all the time. But yeah, so we use them to separate three major ways in each movie using Frozen 2, Moana, and Cinderella that we're given intuition. We're given guiding hands maybe through something that seemed bad or seemed like bad luck, but actually ended up helping us, and love with ourselves and the people in our lives that bring us love.
Oh, fabulous. I'm going to go to that lesson. Right? Yeah. So we have a blessing for our children, and it goes, you are God's perfect child. We love you exactly the way you are. And struggling and trying to get out so he can go chew those wires and all, he's perfect. And so are you. If you didn't hear that as a child, if you were told you needed to do something different, needed to be different, hear this. You are God's perfect child. We love you exactly the way you are. Can we know that together? You are God's perfect child. We love you exactly the way you are. And so it is. So it is. Thank you to everybody who made this service possible today. I know we have some beautiful hospitality downstairs, so please join us in the community room downstairs. To our ushers and greeters who made this possible today, thank you. To our prayer chaplains who are away at their prayer chaplain retreat, we thank them for holding us in prayer. And Tyler is a prayer chaplain. Here he is. He's going to be in the prayer chaplain corner in front of the new stained glass window, the new restored stained glass window. And we'll be here to pray with you. Or if you need something else, I'll be here to pray with you as well. Upcoming this week is the Sounds of Unity Choir Workshop on the 14th. Creative Dream Workshop on the 22nd, and Preparing Food for the Homeless on the 29th. And before I forget, our music team. Can we have a big round of applause for our incredible music team and our AV staff as well? Woohoo! Yeah. And I invite you to stand as you're willing and able and join us in our closing song, True Colors.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, though I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you makes you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy. Can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, you call me up because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow.
Now it's time for our transformational affirmations. I'll say these statements once, and I invite you to affirm them after me. I am willing to face my fear and discover truth. I am
willing to face my fear and discover truth.
I welcome divine experience.
I welcome divine experience.
I am courageous.
I am courageous.
I love extravagantly.
I love extravagantly. And I see my true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So we're not afraid to let them show our true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Happy Sunday, everybody.